My name's Edith O Regan. I'm a Cork-based visual artist in Sample Studios. Well, my background was in textile, but now I work mostly in mixed media, oil paint, gold leaf and cold wax. I do some 3D work and I do some installation pieces. I'm lucky enough in that my working life involves 3 strands. So I'm a visual artist, I'm a community medical doctor, and I'm a mother to 3 girls. And those 3 strands combine into a whole, I suppose, a braid. And that kind of combination of 3 very different aspects of my life creates the conditions that I make my work from. And I'm very lucky to have a space here in Sample to do that. I, again, have been fortunate enough to exhibit it in Ireland and in the UK and in the US. I, again, was lucky enough to be given a residency in Kilraelig in the summer of last year and another one in April of this year. So my work tries to tackle the complexities and the tensions around being human, I suppose, our everyday lives. I'm interested in that difficult balance, that tension that we have in our existence as humans. I use abstract form and colour and texture to investigate these kind of tricky issues, these kind of opposites. So that balance between order and disorder, between control and chaos, that kind of internal tension. I like to use my art as a way to kind of visually represent almost the unseen, the unconscious, that kind of internal landscape or tension that drives our everyday life and existence. This is from an exhibition project that I did in March 2020, just before COVID blew the world apart. It finished in March. So it was called Grattan Street Stories, Memory of Place. And it was an attempt to, I suppose, document or represent an experience of this health centre in Cork City. So it was based in an old Quaker house, Grattan Street Health Centre, kind of a 19th century Quaker meeting house. And I worked there for 5 years, and there was a very strong community of staff there, and it was very strong within the community in our parish, and it was closed. So I felt that I wanted to make work about that process of it being dismantled, of its kind of demise or its end. So I approached the HSE Community Work Department, and they put me in contact with Cork Folklore Project, and we collaborated over a 2-year period to create this work. So I made a series of paintings. There were 8, there's 4 smaller ones, and then 4 which combined into a big panel. And then there were use of artefacts from the building, and then a series of photographs of kind of everyday objects and the landscape of the building, and then combined with quotes from the folklore interviews. I suppose the idea of the whole project, and I suppose the paintings in microcosm, was an attempt to make a portrait of the building, but a portrait of it as a memory. Those kinds of parts of the building that you lose over time, the memories that you forget. So you don't remember what the light switches look like, you don't remember where the windows were, but you have this kind of granular, overall complicated memories of an essence of the place, or of the kind of emotional sense of the place. So the painting behind me, they were based on a series of photographs of my daily journey through the building. That was the back stairs. But I've abstracted the photograph into just the shapes to kind of represent the way that you lose that sense of exactly what it looked like, but you hold the overall memory. It was really lovely, actually. The opening and the exhibition worked really well. It was that sense of trying to capture that unseen element of a place. And then the second painting is based on a series that I started in Kilraelig in 2020, which is called Alethea, the series, and that's one of a triptych. It'll be the first piece that's kind of resolved. I did an art and language workshop through Sample, actually, in October 2020, and finished it after that. So the idea of Alethea, it's the Greek goddess of truth, but the word means disclosure, or making the unseen seen. And there's the idea of disclosure came back into fashion in the early 20th century. There's a philosopher called Martin Heidegger, and he had this idea that art is a way that we make the unseen of humanity seen, that we use it to visually represent the things that we can't articulate. And I was really struck by that. So this painting uses illegible handwriting, Now, I have a complex history with illegible handwriting. Lots of other artists have used it, Cy Twombly and the Dadaists, but I'm dyslexic, and I have a long and wondrous history with English teachers and illegible handwriting. And it's almost seen as subversive. It's that sense of there's a certain rejection of the norm. Handwriting is the way that we assimilate text through the body. We make it into a physical gesture. And when you make it illegible, it's almost like you're trying to conceal something. You're being somehow subversive by using this bodily gesture in an unexpected way. But yet you can almost read what it's trying to say. It's disclosed, but it's not entirely evident, which again is very much the way we are as humans. And then it's in gold because I suppose there's a certain satisfaction in making my long-standing journey with illegible handwriting almost venerated, that our truths can be venerated even if they're not legible. It's funny, art making is such a solitary process, but you need a community to do it. So you need the support of others to facilitate the ability to make things on your own. Ensemble is that for me. It's that sense of place, a sense of community and belonging. And it really does give that, I support or scaffold out of which then you can kind of strike out and sit in front of the canvas or whatever it is and make those pieces solo, but yet with others.